Are field engineers real engineers? In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the truth behind that, because this is something that I get asked all the time, and it's searched quite often on YouTube and Google. And so we're going to connect, and I'm going to give you the answers. So stay with us on this video. Okay, so I was trying to not give you the answer. So field engineers are not technically, and in most cases, real engineers. Now, have I seen field engineers be professional engineers before, or engineers in training, EITs? Yes, but that's not very common. And the role of field engineer, you don't actually have to be a real licensed professional engineer. So the technical answer is no, but let me give you a little bit of a perspective that I think you'll love. First of all, I loved becoming a field engineer and being called field engineer. Oh, let me tell you a story. This is super fun. There was a craft worker. He was a journeyman carpenter who I admired very much. I knew him and his wife and his kids, was close friends with the family, Kate and I were, and he used to appeal to my ego. He was like, Jason, you're an engineer. He actually talked me, oh, this is such a fun story. He talked me into putting together his son's bunk bed and play set. And he was like, you're an engineer, come here and help me do it. And I really quite proficient at doing that. Not only do I have 11 kids, but I've put together lots of IKEA sets and play sets and all kinds of things. And I'm really good at following the instructions, because I am really good and was really good as a field engineer at following the instructions on the drawings. Now, he was obviously appealing to my ego. I wasn't a real engineer, and you don't need an engineer to put together a bunk bed or a play set. But the bottom line was, I thought it was cool, and it made me want to do a better job. It made me proud, and it made me really want to go the extra mile. I personally love that we call field and project engineers engineers. And so engineer is an aspirational title, not necessarily an earned credential. What do I mean by aspirational title? If you actually look, and I did this on ChatGPT and would invite you to do it as well, if you look at what does an engineer do, right? They design things, they solve problems for things, they draft their vision for what they want to build or what they want to do or what they're engineering. They assist with the implementation. They work with the implementers to actually execute their vision. If you go through any of the definitions of what an engineer is, you can tie what a field engineer does in the field. Do they design something? Well, actually, yes. They are helping to pull together the lift drawings, and they are designing solutions for problems in the drawings. They are designing control networks. They are designing layout. They are designing means and methods. They are working with the foreman to execute out in the field. They are bringing their vision to life. I could go one by one, and in this aspirational title, field engineers doing a lot of the same things, even though they don't have a stamp, and even though they might not be a PE, a professional engineer. And so the reason this matters to me is because they can grow into that vision. Right? It's aspirational. So that means that they should be more professional. They should have a standard code of conduct. They should really take care of the people in the field. Their work should be precise and accurate. It's an aspirational title, which doesn't bother me at all, because it invites them to be better, and the better they do, the more our foreman and craft will be supported. The other thing that I want to say is they do apply scientific principles to solve problems. Let me tell you this, it is not easy to run the calcs for a traverse. It is not easy to run the calcs for coordinate geometry. We get to do all of that by hand. It's not easy to do quantities and to do some of the calculations for trending that we get to do. We are constantly, as field engineers, in the math, in the formulas, constantly doing calculations, constantly referencing back to engineering principles, and we are using these scientific principles to lead in the field. The other thing that I would say is that field engineers use engineering methods, most notably in the Field Engineering Methods Manual, right? These are engineering principles. When you open that book, oh my gosh, this is another good story. When I opened the Field Engineering Methods Manual by Wes Crawford, I was expecting like a step-by-step guide, but what I found was 3/4 of the book was literally math. Like, it was a lot of engineering principles. And in fact, when I later on created, and lots of people have done this, the spreadsheets for radial staking and as-built points and traverse computations and level loops. And if you look at the formulas that we had to put into that and to actually calculate it, and the way that we actually engineered our control diagrams and how we were going to lay out work and place work and QC work, you'd be pretty impressed at how technical the work is. The other thing that I would say, in addition to what I've already said, where we like literally design control networks, we design supply chains, we design logistics systems, we design means and methods. In addition to the designing, we are actually inventors as well. I can't tell you how many times that in the role of field engineering, we have had to invent ways to plumb structures, to literally plumb a steel building, to run control through decks using cone-shaped leave-outs that will then get placed back as a part of the structure, and we're actually working with the structural engineers. One example that I thought was really neat as a field engineer, and I messed up on this a little bit, so I'll tell you the full story. We were placing a loading dock, and the elevated portion of the loading dock above the main deck had small walls and a small deck, and that would have been lots and lots of formwork. So I came up with an idea to order foam. I sourced the foam, I confirmed with the structural engineer that it would work, ran the calcs actually, figured out how to fasten it to the base, worked with the structural engineer on how to epoxy embeds down so that we weren't drilling into a post-tension deck, and then found out how to weigh these foam blocks down and literally just place between them so that in this system we didn't have excessive formwork. And it worked. We placed it quite well, invented new ways of doing things, and the structural engineer was like, I've never actually seen that application. It was a Secador product, and the use of styrofoam. It was so wonderful. We were literally engineering solutions, and that's an example that any field engineer can use in applying their own work. But they are not licensed, but they do have grit, professionalism, and they are problem solvers. And they are vital to the role, and I think deserving of the recognition. So let me just close this out by saying, are they professional engineers? No. Should we keep calling them engineers? Yes. Why do we call them engineers? It is an aspirational title, and it clearly describes what we're asking them to do and what they can do. So I hope that's really kind of buttoned this up for you. And I hope that you can be proud of calling people field or project engineers, or if you have that title yourself. But I absolutely love it. If you've loved this, please like and share. And actually, if you have any questions, put that in the comments below. But here's what I want you to do. Please check out the blog post if you want to return to this concept. And please support me in scaling that title, even though they're not technically engineers in training or professional engineers. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.